Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be creating this anime website. So for example, by default you're going to see some popular anime, you can see some series, some movies, so you can also search. So when I click, let's say Full Metal Alchemist, you're going to see some stats of the anime, and also you're going to see characters, and here you see the stats of that anime. When I click, let's say this character, Eric, you're going to see some images about the character. You can view the image you click on, you can download the image. When I go back, I can select another character, and then it's going to change to that character. When I select another character again, it's going to change to that character. Okay, so I can still go back. Let's say I'll select one more character. It's going to change to that character, and then I can go back to the home page. When I go back to the home page, I can search, or I can change the data here. Let's say airing. You're going to see popular airing anime movies or series. When I click on this one, I don't like this one because it has a lot of characters, so it's going to do a big request on the server. So yeah, this one is crazy. So you can limit how many characters you're getting, or you can say I want to get like 5 characters or 20, 50 characters, something like that. But yeah, this one has a lot of characters. You can, view more information about the anime, or you can check the upcoming anime. Let's say this one. So this one, for some reason, the data it's taking a while to come. And also, yeah, the characters are not available, but you can see some information about it. So it says aid not available. Let me try to refresh, I think. Yeah, there's no more information about this one yet. You can go to airing. You can click this one again. It will show you the date. It's going to air from to, okay, or if it's currently airing. Let's say Naruto, this one from 2007 2017. I'll go back. So here I'm going to try to search. I'm going to say metal. So when I search, it's going to show you how many results I found. It says 25. I can get rid of the search. It will show you whatever was being displayed. Here you can see a small sidebar. So here you can click any of these. You can, display any data you want here on the sidebar. You can click any of these. The sidebar is displayed by ranking, by the way. So it's the data is filtered and displayed based on score, I think, or rank, something like that. And then you need to display the data. Okay, so yeah, some characters, I think I've run out of requests. That's why some characters you will not see them. Because some of the anime is going to have a lot of characters, which is going to be crazy for the requests. Okay, so yeah, that's the whole project for today's video. We can change between the tabs. You can search, you can filter. I don't know why this error is showing. Yeah, but we're going to handle this error anyway in the video. But yeah, so some series will not have characters, and this error is here again. It's going to be fixed in the video, don't worry. Okay, so as you can see, I've already created my project and I've deleted the unnecessary files. It's empty at the moment. So when I go to the browser preview, as you can see, there's nothing in here. And for styling, I'm going to be using style components, but you can use any styling system that you want to use. You can use CSS modules, Sass, or normal CSS. That's entirely up to you. So in this case, we're going to be installing React Router DOM. That's going to allow us to route to each individual component. For example, when I click on the Full Metal, when I click one of the characters, it's going to allow us to route to individual stuff or animes or characters, whatever. So let's go to the terminal and do npm install React Router DOM, the latest version, and then style components. This is optional. You can use CSS modules or SaaS, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so after that, let's create some folders in the source folder. I'm going to create a components folder. In the components, I'm going to start with the popular.js. So the popular component is going to be this main component here. It's going to be the popular. It's going to be a functional component. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to render the popular in the home instead of the hello. So here I'm just going to render the popular component, and you should see there's an issue. Okay, there should be popular here, but it's not showing. Import popular. So I need to save. So save, make sure you save everything. As you can see now, it says popular. So that means it's working. So for style components in the source, I'm going to create a global style file, global style.js. So here we're going to import create global from style components, create global style. Oh my days. Create global style from style components, and then here we're just going to do const global style, and then we're going to use the create global, and then we're going to export default because we're not going to do anything else in here. So let's do export default global style. Okay, so for the fonts, just go to Google Fonts. We need the font, Google Fonts. In this case, I'm going to get the font called Inter and then search for the font, add the font where it's in here, and then import, copy the import, go back to style components, and then we're going to do page resetting, the star, and then we're going to get rid of the margin, the padding, the default ones, and then I'm going to import the font family up here. The font family is called Inter. Okay, so for the body, I'm just going to set the background color to red. So this is temporary, just to see if the style component is working. So for us to use the styles, go to the index. Here we're just going to do global style and close. So let's save and go to the React. As you can see, background color is red. That means style component is working fine. So now what we need to do, we need to do the initial fetching of the data, which is the data here you see here on the display. So we're going to be using this API here. It's called Gcan. I don't know how you pronounce it. So this API allows us to search for anime characters, series, or whatever. Let's say if I do Naruto, as it says, you can fetch the data that relates to that. So here is the information about the API. If you want to fetch some data, a specific person, a specific character, that's how you do it. So in this case, we want to get the popular data. So I want to be able to access the data in any component that I want to. So in this case, I'm going to be creating a context folder. Context folder. So here I'm just going to create a global context, which is going to store my state for the data that I want to display in any page. So in this case, I'm going to do import. We're going to import React. So here I'm going to do const. I'm going to create a global context. Const global context, and then we're just going to do react.create context. Okay, or you can just import create context from React. I'm sure you don't like this syntax. You can just import but create context. I think it's create. Is it use context? Yeah, it's create context. You can just import create context here, like this. Create context like this. You don't need to do react dot like this. Okay, so we're just going to export global provider. So the global provider is going to allow us to use the state on a global level. Let's do global context provider. So the children is going to be the app export const. So the children, we need to wrap all of our app with this global provider for us to be able to access the state coming from this global object. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're just going to return global provider, global context dot provider. So for the value, in this case, I'm just going to say hello for now. We're going to change this later, and then in here we're just going to pass in the children, which is going to be the app. We're going to wrap the entire app with the global provider. So for us to be able to access this value here, the state, so in this case, instead of hello, we're going to pass in the state. So for us to access the state, we need to create a function for that. So you can name this function whatever you want. So in this case, I'm just going to say use global context, export. We need to export this function, use global context. Okay, use global context, export const. Okay, use global. For some reason, it's remembering what I was typing on the last project, so which is really good. It's going to be very time efficient. So here we're just going to use the context. Make sure you import use context from React. Okay, and then now we're just, this function is going to allow us to use the global context which we created up top. Okay, so now let's see if we have access to the hello. So we need to call this, we need to destructure the data using this function here. So if I go in the app, I'm going to say const global equal to use global context